Greetings, everyone. This is Leon, and I am pleased to have some really good friends of mine. This is Justin, and this is Don, and this is the Kerr family. And the reason that they are dressed the way they are is we're talking about reenactments. You guys are very much into the reenactment world, and that's something I wanted to talk about, that world and how you, as a family, keep your children interested in all that stuff that's going. So let's start off with Justin. Tell me a little bit about who you are, how you got into piracy, how you talked your wife into doing it, and the rest of the family.
Okay. Well, I'm a historical reenactor, and I reenact strictly as a pirate.
Okay.
We're both part of a crew called Free Men of the Sea.
Okay.
And I got into it, I want to say about 17 years ago.
Okay.
My next door neighbor, who's also a reenactor, just came to the fence one day and said, "Hey, you want to be a pirate?"
Okay.
And I said, "Yes."
Okay, just like that.
Well, I didn't really know what I was getting into.
Okay. Okay.
But I decided to say yes.
Okay. All right.
And he took me to my very first reenactment event,
Okay.
which was at Smith's Castle down in Warwick.
All right.
And it was an encampment. So, we had a period encampment with tents and a fire pit and everything. And he loaned me some clothes so I could have a kit, and look like a pirate.
Right.
We went down to Smith's Castle and we did the encampment and we did the overnight. And on the second morning, he handed me a bunch of weapons and said, "We're going to go down to the water's edge and salute the day." And I said, "Okay," not having any idea what that was.
Okay.
So we went down to the water's edge and he handed me a flintlock pistol, very much like this one here.
Okay, all right.
And he handed it to me, he'd already loaded it, and he said, "Point it out over the water at about 30 degrees and pull the trigger." And I did, and there was this huge explosion that came out of the end of the pistol. And from that minute, I was hooked. I said, "I want to be a pirate. I want to do more of this. I'm in. Where do I sign?"
The flashbang. Now, I have a question for you. Now, with that particular weapon, okay, does it have a kick to it, like
Oh, yes.
Okay, so you have. It's not something you can just pick up and go wee and
No.
Okay.
I mean, you can feel the weight of it.
Yeah.
It's a pretty hefty weapon.
Yes, this is not something you're going to pull out.
Right. And it does have a kick to it. And
Okay.
a lot of it depends on how much powder you put down the barrel.
Okay.
A pistol like this can take anywhere between 40 grains up to 80, 85 grains of black powder. Sometimes, accidentally, we put a double charge down the barrel.
Okay, okay.
But also there's a process to it, so it's not something that you just whip out of your holster
Right.
and fire off 3-4 shots.
It's not like a cowboy gun.
No,
No,
so
this is
that's-
a single shot pistol.
Okay.
So you would load it, and then you would put the hammer back at half cock. That's safety position. And then when you're ready to fire, you pull it back to full cock and pull the trigger. But there's a process. You have to load the charge in the barrel, and then you have to load what's called the primer charge in the pan. And the primer charge is what sets off the main charge inside the barrel. So it's a whole mechanical process. And between pulling the trigger and the weapon actually going off is about a half second.
Okay. Now you were coming in and explaining a couple of things. This is Don, by the way, his better half, and female pirate. Tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got involved with this.
Well, so Justin had been reenacting the golden age of piracy, and we would visit him at various sites and stuff, but we have 6 kids, so I was kind of busy with the kids, and I don't know, pregnant pirate would look kind of odd. But we were at the funeral for our crew member's mother, and the rest of the pirates were there, and yeah, that's when they invited me to hey, now that the kids are grown, why don't you come with us? So yeah, I fell into piracy at a funeral.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting way to be introduced to it.
I'm not ashamed to admit that she is more popular in the crew than I am.
And why is that?
Well, one of the reasons is that she does a lot of knitting and crocheting and clothes making.
Okay.
So a lot of my kit that you see here was made by her, and she makes a lot of things for the crew. And they just love all of the knit caps and gloves and scarves and shawls that she makes.
Well, speaking of that, and I know that's one of your talents, how did that, how do you get that energy to do that and make the outfits and have that energy and pour into that?
The pirate reenacting kind of speaks to it combines a lot of various interests of mine, like the interest of history, the interest of women taking charge of certain things, the interest of crafting, making things. So much like a pirate ship in which when a pirate took a boat, they would be like, okay, you know how to cook, you're a good carpenter, we're taking you guys with us, you don't have a choice. So I think part of the reason why I'm popular with the crew is I'm coming with a skill set. Okay. And they're like, you're coming with us.
Okay. Sort of like any relationship or any, as you were talking about, group, you have a talent that you accentuates what we're doing. Right. You're coming with us.
It's just thankfully in the modern era, unlike the pirates pressing you into service, I'm coming of my own volition. So that's a good thing. Right. But yeah, the pirate reenactment kind of hits on those hobbies and interests altogether.
Well, and since I'm talking to you about this, like female pirates, it's like with anything, were they given more respect because or was it about the same kind of situation? It's like, hey, you're a girl, you don't know what you're talking about.
They commanded respect.
Okay.
So there were some very famous female pirates, most notably Anne Bonny and Mary Read, sailed with Calico Jack. And one of Anne Bonny's famous quotes during her trial was, "If you had fought like men, we wouldn't be hung like dogs." Okay. But she and Mary Read managed to avoid execution by pleading pregnancy. But there were quite a few female pirates who managed to live past their piracy days, which was unusual for pirates. Most of them ended up on the end of a rope.
You didn't retire. There was no pirate retirement home.
But Grace O'Malley managed to retire. Jean de Clisson, she managed to retire. Qingshi, she managed to retire. So these were women who commanded their own fleets, got done what they wanted to get done, and then decided, yeah, I'm good, and retired.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, most pirates didn't retire. Most pirates were retired, meaning they were hung, or they died in battle. So a pirate career might be a year, 2 years, 3 if you're lucky. Very short career, but within that period of time, you had the opportunity to amass an enormous amount of wealth, because on a typical pirate ship, any booty that was taken was divided equally among the crew. The only person that got a double share was the captain. Okay. The captain served at the pleasure of the crew. If the crew didn't like the way captain was running things, they would vote him out and they would vote in somebody new. The only time a pirate captain had absolute authority was in battle. Okay. So it was a very democratic system on board. And everyone shared in the booty, everyone signed articles when they joined the crew, agreeing that they would not steal from one another and that they would abide by the rules. Being part of a pirate crew wasn't as chaotic as sometimes it's made out to be.
Now, in the pirate world, or like, what would be a typical, what would you call a sailing, or a trip, or what it's like an outing. It's like we're going to go out for 2 months, 3 months, or we're going to go out to get what we need and come back.
I don't think you could say that there was a typical, because it was all kind of seat of your pants, sort of.
Right. There were seasons, in the warmer months when the trade routes between the colonies, the American colonies, England, and the Caribbean were active, the triangle trade. Pirates would take advantage of merchant ships that were running that route. So if the merchant ship was coming out of the colonies or the Caribbean, say, with a load of valuable things, and it could be anything from gold, it could be spices, it could be lots of things that were wanted at that time. they would sort of hang out along the trade routes and wait for a merchant ship to come by. Now, a typical merchant ship might have a crew of maybe 15, 20 crew members on it. Typical pirate ship might have 45, 50 guys on it.
And those with guns, and a merchant ship usually not going to have?
Not usually armed.
Okay.
And also the merchant ship, everybody that was on board was just doing a job. They were hired to work on this boat.
Probably not being paid well.
And weren't willing to die for whatever was on the boat.
So it was like,
so when the pirates showed up and said, we'd like to relieve you of these items,
they were like,
most of the time the merchants would just say, yeah, it's all yours, take it.
Here you go. Okay. No, I was going to ask you, when you were talking about like the life of a captain, and for some of the people who watch the movies and things like that, it's sort of like the only reference is Princess Bride, where dread pirate Roberts, right? Okay, right. It's just like, so after a certain time, it's like, you know what, I'm good. You can be captain now. So is that sort of like like you said, the 1 to 3 year run, or is it some get to retire, some don't?
Yeah, I mean, we love the movie Princess Bride, but running a pirate ship for a decade and then turning over to somebody else was just not something that was typical.
Okay.
The pirate's career was very short.
But tell them about Stede Bonnet. That's a funny story, speaking about running off.
Stede Bonnet was a wealthy landowner.
Okay.
And decided he was bored with life as it was, and he wanted to be a pirate. So unlike a lot of pirate captains, he bought a boat, bought a crew, made himself captain, and became a pirate. Now, his first journey out was a horrible disaster. He came back with nothing. But he did come under the attention of a pirate named Edward Teach, who you know as Blackbeard.
Okay.
And Blackbeard kind of took Stede under his wing and taught him how to be a legitimate pirate. So when Stede went out the second time, he was much more successful.
Okay.
And was able to amass a great deal of booty, and then after a period of time decided, yeah, that was fun, I'm done, went back to his estate and retired.
But at one point, Stede was injured during some sort of battle, and so Blackbeard said, you go recover, I'll take care of things for you. And then when Stede finally got back to his senses, realized, wait, where's the rest of my ship and crew? Blackbeard had run off with it. It's like, Stede, he's a pirate. What did you think he was going to do?
Okay.
And so this is when Stede got serious about what he was
wanting to do.
Yeah, and he eventually, I think, was able to get some stuff back, but went on to retire. But yeah, there's a certain point of like, why did you trust a pirate?
Okay. So is this one of those kind of things? There's no code, or there's no, what is it?
There's kind of
no honor among thieves.
I would say there's an agreement on a ship among the crew and the captain, but between pirate captains and pirate crews, it was a heavy competition. So there wasn't really an honor code between them.
It's the nature of, right? Like a scorpion's going to bite. That's just what he does.
You expect that, and if that's a world that you're going to go into, you have to know what you're going to get into. Now, you were talking earlier about, and I had asked you the question. You can both of you, one can jump in about what to consider the heyday. It's like where most people got the inspiration for Pirates of the Caribbean and all these, the assumptions that people make about pirates and things like that.
Well, we can start with some of the myths, and why don't you take a few of those?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of this grew out of Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island.
Okay.
Right, like Justin said, there's no actual written documents from pirates being like, hey, today we did this, because they're outlaws. They're not going to keep records of stuff.
Right.
So a lot of this comes from the imagination of Robert Louis Stevens, and then the Treasure Island thing, and the actor who said "arg." Nobody's ever recorded like, yes, that's what pirates did.
Okay. There's not a dictionary. There's not a pirate dictionary.
Right.
Okay.
So a lot of modern thoughts about who pirates were and how they behaved kind of grew out of this, and then of course Pirates of the Caribbean took it a step further. So the whole walk in the plank, pirates saying "arg."
Buried treasure. X marks the spot.
Yeah.
Yosemite Sam.
Pirates did.
Well, now he wasn't a pirate. Well, I guess he did play a pirate in a couple episodes. But yeah, a lot of that grew out of popular literature and then eventually popular film.
Okay.
So a lot of what we know about pirates is sort of
Myth.
Myth.
Okay.
A large percentage of pirates did not bury their treasure. They spent it, which is why they had to go back out to sea.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of the myths.
Okay.
Yeah, we were noted for collecting booty and then rolling into a port and spending it as fast and furious as we possibly could. Now, that was one of the reasons that pirates were popular, is because they would boost your local economy significantly. So if you ran a tavern, if you ran a brothel, if you ran anything where pirates wanted to come and hang out and spend their money, you'd do really well.
So does the term wine, women, and song come from piracy?
I don't know, but it certainly could be.
Okay.
Well, a good example of this is at one point after the Puritans were established in Plymouth, there's a pirate ship that's coming on the horizon, and they actually lived together for about a year because pirates had money to spend and the Puritans had liquor to sell, and they could use the cash. So
Right.
they actually lived together for about a year until the pirate captain took out one of his first mates.
And there was a trial in
Yeah.
Plymouth. That's all recorded. That's
Okay.
documented.
Okay.
But yeah, we had money to spend, so we didn't bury it.
Right. We just spent it and then went out and got more. But the pirates in the American colonies were an integral part of the economy.
Okay.
Pirates would often take items from the East India Company, which was England's trade company.
Okay.
They would take those things from the merchant ships and bring them back to the colonies and sell them at a cheaper rate than the East India Company. So we were, in a sense, we were like the 18th century Ocean State job lot.
Okay.
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 And very popular with the colonists because not only would we come into town and spend a ton of money, but we could sell you goods at a cheaper rate. It's when the pirates began to take materials from local ships and local merchants that the townspeople began to sour on pirates and began to turn them into the magistrates and the local law enforcement.
Okay. So again, and then so is it with lore and myths and things like that? Do you get a lot of questions that it's like? You got it. What kind of questions are you used to getting? And there's some that are just like,
Well, the whole walk the
that.
plank. We're going to make him walk the plank. No, if we didn't like you, we'd throw you overboard. We wouldn't waste time trying to look for a piece of wood.
Right.
Okay.
Right. My favorite one, and this isn't necessarily pirate myth, but we do encampments.
Right.
Where,
Okay.
Like for Gaspee Days, we'll
Okay.
go to Patuxent Park and we'll set up a period encampment where we have period tents, a campfire or fire pit, and all of the sort of period accoutrement for that.
Okay.
And we will have people that come through and go, "Is that a real fire?" I've been asked that many times.
Okay. Now and then, what's the best part of, or the best and exciting part for you about doing the reenactments?
I think it taps into a part of me that just likes to play.
Okay.
It is a lot of fun to do pirate events. So you get to kit up, and whether it's a parade or an encampment or some other event, you get to entertain people as well as educate them.
Okay.
And you get to play. You get to do fun things.
Dress up.
Dress up and either do a reenactment or march in a parade, and it's just a lot of fun. And there's a part of me that just really likes to do that, and it's actually, I consider it as a big part of my mental health.
Okay. Okay. As an outlet.
As an outlet.
Yeah.
Yes, it's-
No, I mean
Piracy as
for some
self-care.
people, yes, exactly.
I think there's a book there. There's a book there. Piracy is self-care.
I don't.
No?
I know somebody we can talk about
Yeah,
that.
okay.
And for you, what draws you to it and gets you excited? Besides the clothes and the things like that.
I would have to echo what Justin says. I mean, it's the ultimate in dress up, but it's not pretty princess waiting to be rescued dress up.
Okay.
It's a
It's
step.
not Barbie dress up.
Yeah, it's a step closer, and I'll use my British be good stick. So yeah, it's the dress up, it's the history, it's the crafting, it's camping is a fun thing too, hanging out with your friends.
Yep. And the crew is like a second family for us.
Yeah.
These are people we've known for years and consider them to be as much our family as our blood relatives. So they're just fun people to hang out with.
Yes.
And we had talked earlier, and what you had said, you had the kids and things like that. How did you get them into it, and how did you keep them, interested in it? Because as they get older, I mean, your kids are, some of them are grown and out of the house, but they still participate. How do they, how do you keep them still like, hey, we're going to do this? And
Well, not all of them, right?
Okay.
So we have 6 kids, and 3 of them are interested. We've offered all 6 to kind of come along at various points. But I think, like us, they're in it for different reasons. Like our one son, I'm not sure why he's there outside of the history and just kind of playing dress up and, goofing around with the rest of us. Another son, he has an interest in weapons, and this day and age that can be a little bit dicey. So this gives him a chance to kind of like be able to deal with a black powder gun or a sword or a knife in a like closed, rational environment,
right.
To entertain that interest without somebody looking sideways at him. So,
And then our daughter, who's also part of the crew, I think for her the dress up part is probably her favorite part.
Okay.
Right, but the dress up, again, like you were saying, the dress up that's not pretty princess and more of empowerment.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned your encampments, and where do you do these? You said the Gatsby Parade.
Gatsby Days.
What other events do you attend and you do these things at?
We've done a lot of different events. Our main event that we do an encampment at is Gatsby Days.
Okay.
So that always takes place in June, usually around Father's Day.
Right.
And that's a 2-day event. So there's a parade and then there's an encampment. And we're not the only encampment. So there's the Pirate Encampment, there are the Patuxent Rangers, the Lebanon Militia. There's a bunch of different reenactment groups that are in the park. So it's great. You can go through the park, you can interact with these different reenactors and learn about colonial history and learn about what life was like and be immersed in it. And we do firing demonstrations. The Rangers have a cannon. Sometimes we bring a cannon.
Okay. Is it the size of the cannon? You guys have like cannon contests?
There's always competition. There's always competition. But the reenactment community, everybody knows everybody.
Right, okay, that's important.
You can meet all sorts of different reenactors. Some focus on Revolutionary War, some focus on Civil War. The reason that we like to do pirates is because as pirates, we can do pretty much whatever we want. We don't have to wear uniforms, we don't have to march, we don't have to muster. We can just hang out and have fun.
Okay. So during the parade, I think sometimes it's like really hot. You're just like, and how long is that walk? And just like even with the gear, I want to say the proper term. What do you call it?
We call it a kit.
A kit. Wearing your kit. Yeah. What's that like? During that stretch.
Well, that's the beauty about being a pirate and not being part of, say, a Civil War or a Revolutionary War regiment is we're not obligated to wear these wool coats no matter what.
Okay.
So we can dress for the weather.
Okay.
But some of these other, we've been in parades where some of these other guys are sweltering in their wool coats, and it's like, be a pirate.
And we're there in a shirt, pair of slops, and sandals going, hot enough for you?
Okay. And then you said, what other, like, do you go out of state, or is it just here in Rhode Island?
Our crew is sort of in 3 different places. So we have members from Connecticut, some from Massachusetts, and some from Rhode Island. And we've done events in all 3 of those states.
The next event we'll be at is the Newport St. Patrick's Day Parade.
Okay.
That's usually kind of our kickoff for the season.
Okay.
And then after that, the next big one would probably be Gatsby Days.
Well, we do a few things in Mystic Seaport as well.
Okay.
There's usually an event there in April during school break.
Okay.
But our schedule changes from year to year because events will be added, other events will be removed. We've done events at the Mystic Aquarium.
Okay.
They have a Pirate Days event there. We've gone to historical sites out on the Cape.
Chatham.
And done sort of show and tell with some of our nautical equipment, our weapons, and other things. I think the most unusual event we've done is we were asked to come and perform sea shanties at a retirement home. And what was interesting about that is they brought us in, they had a stage for us.
All right.
And we had prepared some shanties. Now, we have PG shanties and we have non-PG shanties.
Okay.
So we had prepared a bunch of sort of PG shanties for this group.
Or don't tell me they were crying out for it.
They were. They're like, sing the dirty ones. These folks were rambunctious. They're like, sing the dirty shanties, please.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, well, in the last few minutes, if while to wrap things up, and like I said, I really appreciate you guys coming out and taking the time, especially because it's cold outside. This is probably not going to come on for like a couple of weeks. It's like 9 degrees outside, so you can't call these people ice pirates. Okay?
No. There's a reason that pirates wintered in the Caribbean and not up here in New England. Yeah.
We
might be crazy, but we're not stupid.
So, if you could, either give couple, maybe a few things, in shanty talk, or I don't know,
We have a couple of dedicated shanty singers in our crew, and they usually lead the shanties. We are not the shanty singers.
You're not the shanty.
We participate, but somebody usually leads it.
You're the background singers.
Yeah, I mean, we sing along. A lot of shanties are call and response or participatory.
Right.
But we're not the shanty men of our crew.
Okay, so
sorry.
In the last few minutes, can you give me some terms that like people that they've heard and it's like, oh, I know where that's coming from, so like when we're talking, it's like maybe at the bottom of the screen I can say what that means.
Okay, I'll give you one example. So we talked before about the pistol, right? And you've heard the term going off half-cocked.
Okay.
Well, it has to do with the way a flintlock weapon works, and I told you that the hammer has two positions: half-cock, which is a safety position, you cannot pull the trigger. And then full cock, when you can pull the trigger. So going off half-cocked means you haven't prepared your weapon to fire. You're not prepared.
Okay. Don?
As far as a pirate term?
Well, like keel haul.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. To keel haul would basically to tie a string onto a person such that you can throw them over one side of the ship and pull them around to the other side of the ship underneath the water. The problem with that is that there's usually barnacles on the underside of your ship, so you come up all sorts of nice and scratched out of the salty seawater.
And what was the purpose of that?
To punish you. So one thing, though, I think that we didn't clarify is the difference between privateer and pirate. So when England was at war with Spain, the Queen was like, hey, go harass the Spanish ships because we're out to get them. And so we had letters of marque, which was basically permission, go harass these Spanish ships. But then the Queen made peace with Spain, and suddenly all of us were out of a job and were marked as pirates. So, the day that they made peace with Spain, we don't have the internet, we don't know this went on, but suddenly we're pirates, and suddenly we can be, accused of various and sundry bad things, whereas like last week we had permission to do all these things.
So as long as you have a letter of marque, you're a privateer. If you don't have a letter of marque, you're a pirate.
Right, and one will get you hung, the other won't. So people tend to conflate privateer with pirates, and it's not the same thing.
So on the way out, what would you want people to know about your love of reenactment, what you do, and where you might be going to, and your knitting thing?
I would say just the thing with reenacting is it allows you to engage with history, and I think it's very important for people to engage with history, the good sides and the bad sides. I mean, we tend to glamorize piracy here, but it really wasn't a glamorous thing. It was pretty abusive to the people that were in it and that took part in it. So engage with history, and that would be my closing thought.
And I would invite anybody to come down and see us at one of these events like Gatsby Days or Pirate Days at Mystic Seaport, because it's a great way to learn about some of the history of piracy. It's a great way to get out, socialize, have some fun, and we want people to come out and interact with us and play with us and learn about history.
Well, you know what? I want to thank you guys both for coming out and putting on your kits and looking as fabulous as you do and bringing some props. And I think that's it. And we're going to be out.
Thank you.
Peace.